Okay, we'll start our December 14th meeting. Do we have to go through this roll call and all that?
I think so.
Okay.
I can do that, Pete.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay. Suzanne's not with us at the moment. Pete Merkel.
Here.
And will you be recording the meeting?
No.
Jim Meals.
Here.
And will you be recording?
No.
Mark Watkins.
Here.
Will you be recording?
No.
Ralph Touch.
Here.
Will you be recording?
No, thank you.
John Rothenberger.
Present, not recording.
Thank you. Chief. I don't think Chief's on yet. Tammy Gore.
I'm here, not recording.
Okay. Andy George.
I'm here, Doreen. I will not be recording the meeting tonight.
Okay. Chris Young.
Here and recording for borough purposes only.
Craig Conrad.
Here, and I won't be recording the meeting tonight.
Happy birthday, Craig.
Thank you. Happy birthday. Thank you.
Ryan Kern.
I'm here and I'm not recording.
And let's see. There was an Ed Oberberger.
That's me, and I'm not recording from Arrow.
Okay, thank you. Denton Shooker. Will you be recording?
I'm here, and I'm not going to be recording.
Okay. And did I see a name of Doug Kopp?
I'm here and I'm not recording. I'm also with Arrow with Ed.
Okay, thank you. I believe that's everyone, Pete.
Okay. I guess we don't have a police report, and Chief Stinsky is not online, so I don't know what this probationary status.
Hang on. Steve is entering now, and I can explain that as well, but hang on. Welcome, Steve Stinsky. Chief Stinsky, sorry. Steve, if you can hear us, you're actually up. So while Steve's trying to get his audio together, we have probationary status of Angela Arndt, who's our full-time officer who has put in the required time and efforts, and Steve has recommended that council approve her off probationary status. Steve, can you hear us yet? Apparently not.
Oh, how about now?
There we go. Welcome aboard.
Can you hear me now? That's all I had to do is take it off mute. It's amazing how well that works.
Huh, yeah.
All right, so the hard police reports are still being in work. It was a little hectic today with the snow and the and the rain and the snow. So anyway, they will be coming from a theft standpoint. We did from a significant activity standpoint in and around the borough here. We are investigating a coin theft that happened at the Kelchner's Cleaners in Topton. The people who went in there, there is a post on our Facebook page. The guy was in there a few days before, went back there, took several $100s worth of quarters out of a machine, and a few days later he was here in Fleetwood trying to get ours. So we are working that case. We also have been active in and around. We had a domestic assault right outside of town here. The guy ran off. The woman ran out of the house with a bloodied face to get help. The guy, the assaulter, ran off, and Angela and company found him hiding under a vehicle in the local neighborhood. So he was arrested at that time, and that was a successful conclusion. We ended up stopping a vehicle for speeding that right outside the borough line in Ruskin Manor Township, and found the operator to be DUI, drug related, and he had a pistol in the door of his car. That person was arrested without incident, and that worked out for us well. Tom stopped the speeder up on Pricetown Road, or tried to. Guy was going 78 in a 40, and then the guy took off and fled in traffic. Luckily, somebody saw him, and it got to be a little dangerous in rush hour traffic, so Tom broke off the pursuit, but the person was tracked to DECA, where he was identified and faces the fleeing and eluding charges now. Personnel-wise, Chris just talked about Angela's probationary status. It's due to expire December 28th. So this is the meeting prior to that. So I would ask that you release her from probation effective the 28th of December. She's performing admirably, and definitely a gain for our department. Also, part-time officer Zebra Tabbage, he completed his transition training with the FTO and had some left seat, right seat time, and he is now filling shifts for us and working well. So he was a good acquisition as well. I'd also want to ask council for conditional approval to hire another part-time patrol officer, Stephen Beckesy. He's currently a federal police officer, and he's working part-time. He's already certified at all. He's working part-time with some northern agencies, and we're a lot closer for him, so he'd like to come work for us if he could. So his background check is just being completed, so I request permission to hire him pending successful completion of the medical testing. So we're going to keep going or pause for action on those? Yes.
John Rothenberg will second both of those.
Okay, who does the roll call on this? I forget.
Would be me, Pete. Unless somebody else wants to do it.
Yeah, you do it.
Okay. So my question for Andy is, we have the two motions on the table by both people. Just one run through the roll call work, or do we need to do them individually?
I think we can run through one time with the understanding that that both of the votes, that each vote counts for both.
Okay. So for the roll call, we'll do Pete Merkel,
Yes.
Jim Meals,
Yes.
Mark Watkins,
Yes.
Ralph Touch,
Yes.
Colin Boyer, and John Rothenberger.
Yes.
And that would be everyone.
Chief, did you have a third item in there?
What's that?
There wasn't anything that had to be moved on. It was just an update that the last part-timer we hired, who was also an experienced officer, is working out well, and he's plugged into the schedule now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So the MVR for the Tahoe, we finally got that in. There was a part that had to be switched around. The installer got that from the manufacturer, so that's being installed on Wednesday. And one of the issues that we're noticing with the equipment, the printers, the thermal printers that we have in the cars, we bought them around 2015 when the track software was provided to us. And right now, two of the ones we have are kind of frozen with warning lights, and they can't do anything. So I have a request out to Brother customer support to find out what the deal is, if there's something that we can correct or if they're at the end of their life cycles, if we are to look to start replacing those. They're about $350 when we bought them back in 2014 or 2015. So not a big deal at this point, just letting you know that it's out there. Projected activities and issues, just a reminder that beginning of the year, we'll have to have the new stuff punched out with Richmond Township. I'm working on planning and trying to find another good deal for purchase of a new vehicle that's in their proposed budget for next year. And I'm continuing our search for a part-time detective, and I currently have a couple different irons in the fire, and we'll see which way we want to head as we go forward here. Sorry for the abbreviated report tonight, but like I said, I've been kind of busy the past couple of days. Oh, and one other very nice thing, we had Kuzmans. They're moving out of town. They're flying south for the winter, and as a part of their moving sale, they had some office furniture that they actually donated to the PD. So now I have a pretty fancy office set up. There was stuff that they tried to sell and couldn't because it was too big. So we actually took it out of there last week. They wanted to give it to us, and so there you go.
Hey, Chief,
Steve?
before you sign off, just to let you know that all the contracts are with the other 3 municipalities and they're out there for review. So the Richmond one's the only one that's a little bit different, because we've had the same format for that contract over the last number of years, and it's changed a little bit to keep it consistent with the other municipalities. So they have that, and I don't know if they'll have questions. I haven't heard anything yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Steve, it's Pete.
Yes, sir.
I think it was Chris that told me that you caught the individuals that are vandalizing the restrooms in the park.
We have identified them. They made some, we identified the cost for some of the repairs and cleanup, which is being forwarded on to them. A lot of them, it is some of them are initial offenses. So I don't have the rundown in front of me because there had been a handful of events here recently, and John Manmiller's been a big help with us retrieving video, etc. And this last weekend, I was actually coming in to cover a shift in Topton, and I just happened to pass by the park and saw, there's a lot of kids out there. And a few minutes later, Chris gives me a call and says, hey, just got a report that there's some kids, loud music, tearing up the bathrooms. So
Jesus.
I called Tom Folk, who was covering the borough, and he says, I was just there because ever since we started having problems, the officers were mandated to twice a shift check on the bathroom if they weren't otherwise occupied, to try to at least, if nothing else, timestamp when there wasn't a problem so we could go back and make searching video easier. But he literally had just left there within the past 15, 20 minutes of that call coming in to me from Chris.
And that was
So
actually,
he went back there and
that was actually from Mark Watkins, by the way. So council is on the ball.
Do I get a deputy badge or something?
what I can tell you, you'll see in next month's police report, since you guys locked the bathroom and there's nothing for kids to do, this past weekend we recovered like 3 stolen cars. Kids were going through cars. Turns out that they were 14-year-old kids who were taking cars for joyrides.
Oh,
So,
Oh my God.
But yeah, pretty unbelievable. One of them took his older sister's car and made a run down to McDonald's in Muhlenberg and did a couple of ATM withdrawals and stuff on the way with some credit cards. Another one, kids were walking around going through cars looking for open doors. They found the car that was unlocked that had keys in the console. And I don't know if they got scared or what, but they ended up stashing it just outside of town. And Officer Ryan Button didn't see the car. He was actually just in the station ready to enter it as a stolen vehicle. And the car owner called him and said, "Hey, I just saw my car headed south on 662. So he went out trying to find the car. He didn't see, the owner lost the car, didn't see where it went. Ryan went out there and he actually saw two kids walking along the road that kind of matched the description of the people who were in the car, and tracked them down. And the one kid had the keys to the car in his pocket. So it wasn't much longer after that we were able to get the car returned to his owner. Yeah, so it was quite an eventful weekend. So I said, we've been extremely busy here the past few days. And of course, we had, of course, a little bit of snow here for the first time, quite some time, and it made things even more interesting today.
Chief, I just want to mention, I saw that incident about I was going to ask about the car theft that made Facebook, and you guys got some pretty good press on that.
Oh, good. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to post anything or do anything because it's just too crazy today.
Thanks, Steve.
I have one other thing I'd like to bring up for Chief Stinsky, and honestly, I really don't want to be a deputy, but while I applaud their innovation, there seem to be a couple of kids I've noticed, probably not going to see it in the winter, but they motorized bicycles, and they've been zipping around different neighborhoods. I don't know if you've known them, if you've caught them or done anything, but it is kind of annoying. And, hey, it's a great idea, but don't be riding on public roads without a license or anything. Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't specifically heard about that. I know seems to be a bit of a craze lately. There are electric bikes that are out, and those are actually considered like bicycles.
Right.
With there are a couple equipment parameters, and also, and then the engines, bicycles. There's a couple of different categories of the brake horsepower and stuff like that of the engine that determines whether or not it's a motor vehicle or just a motorized pedicycle, and what kind of license, if any, is required.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar. Actually, I bought my wife an electric bike, but you have to pedal it, and it doesn't require a license because it's under 50 horsepower. But these kids have put in like motorcycle engines on them, and they're
wow.
I'm sure you'll see them. Well, you'll hear them before you see them.
Oh, what area of town did you see those?
Right up my street, Springfield. So right past the Touches and past Chris's. I've seen them out here in our development. And then over by the high school. But like I said, now there's snow on the ground. They probably won't be doing it.
It's as far as the insurance on bicycles, a standard bicycle is covered by your homeowner's liability. An electric bike is not. I was told by my insurance man that you need a motorcycle coverage for an electric bike for liability.
I'll check into that.
Well, see, that's something that's pretty good to know there, Pete, because oftentimes parents are like, come on, it's a kid riding a bike. What's the big deal? But once they realize they might have a bit of liability attached to it, it might make them a little more interested in what their kids are doing.
I'm pretty sure on that. I don't have an electric bike, but a lot of my friends do. And I somehow got talking about it. And then Frank Hoke, who's a retired insurance fellow, he checked into it. And then I checked it with my guy, and a regular bicycle for liability wise is covered by your homeowners. An electric bike is not. You have to have something over and above that. I was told motorcycle insurance, but somebody else told me an umbrella insurance would cover it.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Are you making any special arrangements for Wednesday when we apparently are having a large snowstorm? Is there anything up front, any extra officers or anything we need to do?
Well, I'm looking at that pine tree behind you, Mayor, and I'm wondering if you're in a position to be able to call the snow emergency or not.
I'm back. I'm
It's
just
not
still
a-
dreaming of Hilton Head.
It's
Well-
got coconut on it.
Yeah, we actually will have several officers on that day, so we should be pretty well covered with what's going on.
Okay. It seems like we should probably call a snow emergency. It seems like we're not missing this one. Craig, what are you hearing from other people? When are they starting?
Well, we were thinking, Chris and I had this discussion the other day, actually yesterday, I believe, and we're thinking maybe start it at noontime Wednesday until, we lift it on Thursday at some point in time. Because they're talking about the worst of the snow Wednesday afternoon and then the major snow overnight, then 3 to 5 during the day, and then, the rest of it overnight.
Okay.
That would give them some time if we do it, maybe tomorrow, give them 24 hours to, have time to move their cars and make their plans.
Okay. So Chris, can we do a swift reach?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, speaking of snow emergencies, a question actually probably 20 minutes before the meeting, I got a ping on a Facebook message, and I haven't had a chance to research it yet, but do any of you guys recall when the signage was posted regarding snow emergency route on Richmond Street? There was a, whether it's both sides of the street or one side of the street.
I remember the discussion. I don't remember the outcome.
All right, yeah, I'll look it up. I was just wondering whether any of the street gurus maybe had it at the tip of their fingers.
Actually, I'd have to go out and look. Honestly, I don't recall, but I'm thinking it was pretty much both sides. I thought we had the tannery lot, but I'd have to confirm that by actually going back out and taking a look at it.
Okay. Yeah, let me see what this message was here. Give me 1 second.
So South Richmond is non-parking anyway. It was just a different part of Richmond.
Yeah, let me see where this question.
It's North Richmond up to Arch, Vine.
All right, what the man asked was, he said he lives on North Richmond Street across from Grand Central. And the year before last, they put up snow emergency signs on the right side of the street. That year, they told me they only applied to the left side by an officer. I just wanted to re-verify that's still the way it is before any snow emergency. So I guess, we have the part of the day parking prohibition on what would be the west side of the street. He doesn't say going which way. He's a little mixed up here, left and right. But do you guys recall? Is it both ways on Richmond Street, North Richmond?
I can't imagine it wouldn't be. Like I said, I don't remember.
I thought it was as well.
It doesn't make sense not to be.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's fine. I'll
sure it is
research.
too,
It's not that big a deal. I'm just checking to see if you had it on top of your head. That's all.
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
Yep.
Moving
I'm
on
going to be
to
signing off and going over to top. And if anybody needs anything, I'm in the office. So just give me a text or something or an email and I'll jump back on.
Okay, be safe.
Thank you.
moving on to engineering. Ryan, you have a report?
Yes. Okay. Good evening, everyone. The first item on our engineer's report is the MS4 and pollution reduction plan items. We do continually work with Craig and Chris for some of these matters. We had an internal meeting on November 19th regarding the Willow Creek Restoration Project. We will be providing an update to the committee and hope to have a meeting prior to the holidays. The next item is a placeholder that we discuss each month is the water treatment plant stream realignment. Once the borough's ready to move on with that, if it is next year, then just give us a shout. And the final item is West Arch Street. Our field crew did complete the topographic survey on November 30th. It's in the drafter's hands right now, and the base plan is being prepared. Once we have that, an engineer will work on the feasibility analysis. And Pete, that's it for the engineer's report. Any questions from anybody?
Nope.
Okay.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Yep. Stay safe during the storm. I'm hoping that they overestimate like they do every year for the first storm, but we'll see.
Amen.
Can you all remind me, there's a truck-pulled large trailer on Spring Street where it kind of loops around back where McDonald's live and Russell Anderson back in that little loop back there. And it's parked on the grass beside the house. Are you allowed to have a vehicle parked in the grass? My understanding was it had to be on a hard surface.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So what are we doing with codes? So do we have codes people going out or?
We're complaint based as we always have been. So send me an email and
Okay.
we'll send it over to our codes people to have them check it out.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, next up is Arrow. We have Ed and Doug. They're going to talk about the water main job.
Yeah, so if you will, Pete, I'll do a brief introduction. As council knows, we're doing a $3.5 million potential water main replacement in the borough. Tonight was supposed to be the bid opening or approvals for it. The bids were opened by Arrow, and they were actually lower than anticipated, so that was a good thing. And due to some inconsistencies as well as the potential for improvement, Craig, I, and Arrow had a conversation, and we're recommending that actually we go out and rebid the project a little bit. Ed, did you want to say a little bit more? Or Craig, did you want to chime in there?
I'm waiting on Craig.
Well, yeah, what Chris is saying is true. There was some inconsistencies in the bids, and then because the pricing did come in, in our favor, we looked at the projects just one more time, reviewed them, and we saw a place that we could actually improve service pretty greatly by changing the pipe size and the scope of that project in that area. So we had a discussion about that with those inconsistencies and the changing of the scope of the project just a little bit. And we all thought it was in our best interest to go out and rebid the project. So I'll let Ed take it from that point.
Sure. Thanks, Craig. Yeah, it's interesting. There's been quite a change in the numbers that we're seeing out there, the numbers of companies that are bidding on projects, and we're finding quite a few are coming in under the anticipated budget, where sometimes you think they're going to come in over. And it just seemed like a prime opportunity, since we're already tied in with the Penvest, that by changing the scope, it would then all fall under the Penvest funding and application and everything we have already. In addition to the fact that increasing that main line to 8-inch, which would be a benefit to the community. We had talked about it before and kind of put it off because we were concerned where the costs were going originally. That is a substantial change. So that's why we all talked. Andy's been involved in the discussions as well. So
Do we have to advertise and go out for a new bid, or can we ask them for an addendum or a cost differential to go to a larger pipe size?
No, it would need to be rebid across the board to give everybody a fair opportunity.
Okay. Then we have to advertise again. We have to do all that.
Yeah, again, it's a substantial change, to the extent that it needs to be rebid, but it's not a substantial change in the amount of work that we have to do to rebid it. And for the cost differential you have, it's well worth it.
Okay. All right, Ed. Just wanted to ask.
No, appreciate it, Tammy.
Do we need a motion for that, or can we just do that?
I believe we need a motion to reject all bids, right, Andy?
Yes, and then a motion to advertise under the new parameters.
All right, I'm going to make that motion. This is John. I'm going to make a motion to reject the bids that are for the this past bid process.
It's
This
Pete.
is Ralph. I'll second it. Go ahead, Pete.
Go ahead, Ralph. I'll do the next one. I'll do the next one.
Okay. I'll make a motion to second both of them as well.
Oh, any more discussion? Now we have to do a roll call.
I just want to clarify, we're taking the roll call for both bids to reject the bids and also start the new process with the new scope of the project.
Correct.
Okay.
Andy, is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine. Just if anybody disagrees with one, just make that known. But
I kind of stumbled through that then. So however that needs to be worded is to reject the present bids and rebid the project with the changes.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Pete Merkel,
Yes.
Jim Meals,
Yes.
Mark Watkins,
Yes.
Ralph Touch,
Yes.
Colin Boyer, and John Rothenberger.
Yes.
And that would be everyone.
Okay. That's the end of engineering. Correct?
That's
Yep.
it for us.
Thank you, Ed and Doug.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Don't talk to you. Have a great holiday and have
Merry-
fun shoveling snow.
Merry Christmas.
Stay safe.
Yep. Don't forget to stretch.
Okay, do we have any guests on the phone?
We have
Denton's the only one.
Unless if we don't consider him a guest.
He's more of a fixture.
Okay.
Okay,
Nice.
so
This is a holiday, Pete.
that's a compliment.
Oh, okay. Yep.
All right, moving on to legal and Andy George.
Thank you, Pete. So the first item is the budget approval, and we did advertise the 2021 budget. It's been open for inspection for the requisite time period, which is 10 days. The general budget is $2,800,654.09. The water budget is $1,089,927.98, and the sewer budget is $1,107,696.18. So we would need a motion to approve the budget.
It's Pete, I'll make the motion.
It's Ralph. I'll second the motion.
Oh, any more discussion? If If not, we'll move on to roll call.
Okay. Pete Merkel,
Yes.
Jim Meals,
Yes.
Mark Watkins,
Yes.
Ralph Touch,
Yes.
Colin Boyer, and John Rothenberger.
Yes.
And that's everyone.
All right. Next on the list, the police department contracts, which I mentioned briefly to the chief. So these three contracts, Richmond, Hopton, Ruskin Manor, are all with the respective municipalities for review. The Ruskin Manor 2021 contract increased from $145,000 a year to $156,600 a year. That's $13,053 per month. And we still have included in that the $15,000 a year annual payment, which is related to the vehicle that we had to buy last year. Next year, or the year after, the following year, there will be an additional and final $15,000 payment for that. The Fleetwood Topton agreement is the same number, $156,600 a year, also up from $145,000, which is the current amount. But there was no vehicle related to that coverage agreement. The Richmond contract is a little different because we've had a contract with them for a long time, and it was kind of in a format that everybody was used to. But now that we've covered two other municipalities, we modified the Richmond agreement to make it consistent with the other two municipalities. We proposed this be a 3-year contract, just like Ruskin Manor and Topton. We would still do the same thing and negotiate that at the end of the year for the following year. Richmond's monthly contribution, and I believe this has been agreed upon already, Chris, correct?
Correct.
Is after the library contribution annually of $4,000, their monthly amount is $44,912. So that's where we are with those. We've also have resolutions that council could vote on tonight to kind of keep things moving along. Now, if something comes back and they're looking to change something substantial, then we can always reevaluate next month. But I'm trying to just kind of keep things moving and get things in place by the first of the year. So if council would want to vote on the resolutions for each of those, we don't need separate votes. We can just make a motion to adopt all these resolutions, these intermunicipal agreements, and then vote to sign the contracts all in one vote. Unless there's something in particular that anybody wants to talk about.
It's Ralph. I'll make the motion to issue all three contracts and to allow Suzanne to sign them.
Okay. And to pass the resolution that's necessary to adopt an intermunicipal agreement.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Mark, I'll second it.
Go ahead, Mark.
I'll second it.
Okay. No more discussion. So we go to Doreen and the roll call.
Okay. Pete Merkel,
Yes.
Jim Meals,
Yes.
Mark Watkins,
Yes.
Ralph Touch,
Yes.
Colin Boyer, John Rothenberger,
Yes.
and that would be everyone.
Since we're talking about contracts with police, can I just interject here a little bit out of order? Any updates on what Maiden Creek is deciding to do, and has there been any further discussion, Chris? I meant to ask the chief and I forgot.
So there has not been any communication with us on absorbing or doing anything long-term with Maiden Creek.
Okay.
There was a brief one today asking if we might be able to help. And Steve and I are going to be looking at that. But at this point, if you read the Reading Eagle this morning, they are pursuing Central Berks as their primary police force.
Okay, I did not read that, so thank you.
Yeah, that was a long article.
It was.
Yeah. So the last thing on my list is the conditional use hearing. Having trouble reading that. I guess, does that say January? Or January?
Yeah, sorry. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so this is for 109 East Locust Street. We heard about this a couple or a few months ago. This is a property owned by Fitz Realty Company, which is Mike Fitzgerald. It's in the R2 zoning district, and the purpose is to convert the existing church into a low-density residential use. It's basically a 3-unit apartment building that is proposed. So in order to do that, Mike Fitzgerald needed to go before the zoning hearing board and get zoning relief from some dimensional things in the zoning ordinance, and he did that. There was a hearing on December 8th, and although there hasn't been a decision in writing yet, they verbally gave him the authority to, or gave him the zoning relief. The next step in the process is, because this conversion is permitted by the conditional use process, there has to be a hearing that occurs before Borough Council. Same advertising requirements as a zoning hearing, so we need just a little bit of time to get it advertised, but we planned to do that, just like the last conditional use hearing we had involving the church. We plan to do that on at 6:30 at the next council meeting, which would be January 11th, I believe. So chances are we'll be doing it via Zoom. So it's going to be a little bit awkward to do that because of the exhibits that are involved and the testimony and recorded testimony. But we'll get through the process. Chris will be the IT MC. So he'll be able to flash stuff like he's doing now up on the screen. And Mark Cuck, if you recall, represents Mike Fitzgerald. Maybe you don't know that yet, but Mark Cuck is the lawyer who represented the prior property owner who did the conditional use for the last church. So
we're not expecting any animosity on this project, correct? So
no, I don't think. No, I don't.
No, as a matter of fact, at the last council meeting, if you remember, Mike and Mark Watkins, Watkins architect, called in and reviewed it. So this is now the next formality on it.
So, I mean, other than not being able to see the exhibits very well, it seems like it's, not going to cause any trouble. So
I wouldn't think so. I didn't. Chris, did you attend the zoning hearing, or did you hear if there were any neighbors there who? I
did not attend, but they did pass it, and I didn't think there was any opposition. So
okay.
A question on that for council and Andy. Do we want to advertise that for a 6 p.m. start so we can keep the council at roughly 6:30?
That works for me.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Please.
No worries here.
So what is that? What's the date on that? Next meeting?
Yeah, next council meeting, which would be January.
12th. No, January 11th.
January 11th is a Monday. Yeah.
January 11th at 6.
Correct.
Okay.
Since we're talking about Mike Fitzgerald, I'm going to go out of turn again if it's okay. Have we heard anything about the property? If you went out Walnut Street, the property on the left that has the metal shop behind it, who they want to expand that building and parking lot. And we had some neighbors on Spring Street a little bit upset about that. Have we heard any updates on that?
This is in Richmond Township.
It's Richmond Township, and it backs right up to residential properties on Spring Street.
I heard nothing.
Okay, I'll follow up.
I heard, Tammy, that there was a zoning hearing on that.
There was.
The zoning hearing board denied whatever they were requesting. I don't know much about it. Other they wanted to put a different use in there or expand it or somewhat have a more intensive type of use, I guess, but they denied the request.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if there's a formal decision that has come out. And I don't know if that's the end of it. I don't know if there's going to be an appeal of that or not.
Okay.
The interesting thing about that zoning was they were actually asking for relief for the lighting because they were afraid that it was going to interfere with the neighbors. So if the zoning board turned it down, they might be required to put the additional lighting in, which would actually be a negative towards those neighbors.
They wanted to expand so that they could move all their operations inside and store their materials inside, which right now are just laying in heaps outside. They make custom metal stairs, who knows, for cruise ships and stuff. I mean, who knew? But anyway, they wanted to make a parking lot, pave a parking lot and expand the building. And move the operations inside. So it actually, and you're right, and keep the lighting low. So I'm gonna follow up on that to find out what's going on there. So thank you.
That's all I have.
I have a question for Andy or anyone else. Maybe some of you people who work for big firms. I'm trying to wrap my head around medical marijuana. And I try to look at other people's policy manuals and they don't address it at all. But let's just read the first two sentences of the Borough's policy manual. The use of illegal drugs or alcohol is not permitted at any time. The use of prescribed or over-the-counter drugs will not be permitted if they impair an employee's ability to work. I'm looking at medical marijuana as a prescribed drug, and you can, I guess, use alcohol, which is legal, after work, and medical marijuana, which you need a prescription for after work, but you cannot be impaired by alcohol prescribed drugs when you come to work. Is that the way you people are looking at this?
Yeah, that's the way I understand it, Pete. I can't say I'm an employment law expert, but yeah, I mean, if there's any impairment to the level that you can't do your job or that it becomes a hazard, a safety issue, then I think the employer is within their rights to say something about that.
Well, isn't marijuana still federally illegal, even if it is?
Well, that's two separate entities. Marijuana in the state of Pennsylvania is illegal, period.
But medical
marijuana is a prescribed entity, drug or whatever.
Right.
But it doesn't make it legal federally.
Well, that's correct, Tammy, but I think the easier answer is the first place Pete went. Legal or not, if you're impaired, we limit you being at work.
Right.
That,
So I don't know
that's
that we
what-
have to track down the logic for whether, like, exactly how it's legal or where it is or isn't legal, because it doesn't matter. Alcohol is legal, and we still can't be alcoholics at work.
Correct. That's
So-
the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's the more typical understanding that I would see, even in our industry, because they don't walk down the other path. Doesn't matter if it's legal or not. At the end of the day, if you're impaired, you shouldn't be at work.
Correct.
So I think from a manufacturing standpoint, Pete, and I could be wrong on this, but my last understanding was that for companies that do federal contracts, you cannot accept anybody who has a positive test for that, even if they're not under the influence, because it's not federally, as we talked about the federal thing. If you're working on a government contract, you're violating the terms for that.
So if you do a drug test on someone who has a medical marijuana card and he fails the drug test,
I think it's a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though he or she is not impaired on the job, it's still a problem.
Because you could test positive several days later, right?
I believe so.
Correct.
So are you saying we need to reevaluate our ordinance?
I don't believe so, because it's the same difficulty.
Okay.
Like, there's a medical issue with how you prove somebody's impaired, but the short answer is if they're impaired, they can't work.
That's the way I'm looking at it.
Our employee manual is actually undergoing revision, and it's actually with one of Andy's associates taking a look at exactly that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping by first quarter next year, we have a draft back that we can look at a little bit. But I will say I was at 2 classes already where this came up, one with the CDL tests, and they basically throw the towel in. If it comes back as a positive, but there's a prescription for it. The interesting part is there's no real number for marijuana that says you're impaired. Like alcohol, it's 0.05 or whatever the case may be. In medical marijuana, there is no number established. So it's already a couple cases, from my understanding, and Andy might have more, but they're in flux because of exactly that. They'll come back, test positive. They'll say you're positive. We're going to revoke your CDL. They said, "Oh, nope, I get a get out of jail card free," and then they go, "Oh, crap."
Yeah, and that's right. And then also, I think it depends on the type of job you're doing. Like if you're doing paperwork, that's one thing. But if you're operating machinery, or if you are a police officer, if you have like a CDL, then I think it's different. Even if you have a card, so you can't. There are exceptions to, being able to use medical marijuana in the workplace.
Right. But there was a lot. This was a couple months ago. I had the one PSAB course, and there was a lot of uncertainty on how to look at that. And apparently, it went back to legislative branch to try to determine what if there's a amount of milligrams in the blood or something that they would call it impaired.
Right.
Thank you. Okay, what happened? Something happened?
You're still in charge, Pete.
All yours,
Pardon
Pete.
me? Oh, I'm in charge. Chris Young, manager's report.
All right, this will be relatively quick and hopefully painless. The budget update I do not have. It's been one interesting week. The codification update is, I just got it back beginning of this week, the draft. So we'll start looking at that, and I'll send that to the codes committee to start reviewing. And then in parallel, it goes to their legal for review to determine the legalities of everything. So that's just getting underway. Council 2021 schedule, everybody saw that I sent out a list of the potential 2021 dates. And if I can find it, I'll try to throw it up on the screen, which might be.
It was in your email today.
Yeah, it was. I'm just going to try to put it up on the screen. So if I do new share, let's try that. Okay, are you guys seeing the typical 2021 council dates?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the dates that I went through relatively quickly on the calendar. The ones that are in yellow are the ones that might be an issue. So it's up to council if they want to move any of those dates.
When is Memorial Day? Is that the 31st of May this year?
Yeah, it is.
Thanks.
So do we just want to move the Columbus Day?
We can. Do you want to move that to Tuesday?
That's what we did this past couple of years, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's the only change, I'll send this to Alicia and Andy's office to publish, and we're going to make this the 12th. And everything else stays, including the January 3rd, 2022 reorg.
January 11th. January 3rd?
Of 2022.
Oh, 2022.
Has to be the first, I think it has to be the first Monday of the year, right, Andy?
That is correct. Yep.
So I'm thinking if we kill this all at once, can we advertise that far in advance?
Yes, we can do that. Yep.
Okay.
And we're still putting up 2 dates for each month, even though we've only been meeting one, just in case.
Yeah, that's how we've been doing it.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'd have to specially advertise. I mean, we don't have to meet on these dates, and if you don't meet, there's no requirement to advertise the fact that we're not meeting. Usually it's just posted on the door.
Yep.
Or in this case, maybe on the website, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
It's cheaper to do it this way.
Sounds good.
Okay, and then the second page is the authority, and this is just an FYI. This is the meeting schedule for the authority, which Andy's office has advertised with us. And I'm assuming Andy will do some type of verbiage that they're going to be virtual until further notice.
Yeah, we'll put a statement in that indicates that.
There was some discussion at the authority meeting if we could put in it's going to be virtual until advertised on the website, but I didn't think that was possible. Rather than taking another newspaper advertisement out.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think we can put that all meetings will be held virtually in the event that council or the authority would decide to have in-person meetings again. Check the borough website.
Well, that's true because every month they have to check anyway to get the Zoom invite. So yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion for that, Andy?
Motion
to advertise this? I guess to advertise it, right?
Yep. Yeah, we do.
John will make that motion.
It's Strauss. I'll second the motion.
Any more discussion? Okay, Doreen.
Okay. Pete Merkel,
Yes.
Jim Meals,
Yes.
Mark Watkins,
Yes.
Ralph Touch,
Yes.
Helen Boyer, and John Rothenberger.
Yes.
And that's everyone.
Do.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, sorry, I'm still on. Bridget Park, we had applied for FEMA funding for that, which is kind of the letter D, the end one there too. The PEMA and FEMA for the flooding, we were hoping, and we operated pretty feverishly trying to get estimates. Ryan Kern and his folks, as well as Craig and Bobby, and our local EMC, Megan Young, were constantly getting more updates, pictures, quotes, estimates, blah, 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 trying to qualify for PEMA and FEMA funding. But as I'm sure some of you saw anyway, the Berks County didn't meet the threshold for damage, so there was no funding available. So the bridge is still out, and we'll tackle the discussion at the January meeting, possibly getting the park team involved, because we have to decide soon if we're going to go for a grant. If we go for a grant, the bridge is out of commission for 2 years, and if we don't, it's going to cost $60,000 to $120,000 out of borough funds. So we have to make some decisions from council standpoint of what you want to do and when you want to do it. So just an FYI there. And then the miscellaneous portion, the solar light at the bridge, that's the one at the high school, has been on the fritz. Bobby and I have been with them several times. We think we have it solved now.
No, it's out again tonight.
No. It's correct. It's off. Tomorrow morning, we're going to turn it on. We put a new control panel in, and then we turned it off to have the batteries charge for 2 full sunny days. And it's been a challenge trying to get 2 sunny days in there. So we're hoping tomorrow we're going to turn it on and see how it goes. They're seeing the same issue with other lights up in Scranton. This area, due to recently the amount of overcast days we have, plus just winter in general, there's not enough battery charge to have the light last for the entire time. So we're going to adjust the profile as well. So there's work being done there. But there is a new control unit in there. We put a new one in. Park restrooms, we already covered. They're shut down for the season because of vandalism. The FEMA grants I just reviewed as well. Here ends my report.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Craig?
Yeah, hi everybody. Hey, as I said in my report, Public Works team has been working tirelessly. The guys have really been putting in a good effort and getting things done and getting ready for obviously the upcoming storm. Leaf collection is going to end tomorrow. We're going to make a quick round in the morning and get the box off that truck and get it prepared for the storm. So we were going to go to the end of this week. We're going to cut that a little short because of the storm. I did have the part-time plow guys in last week for training. We went back over their routes and over their trucks, and that all went well. And we're going to hope for the best. The line moves a little bit, and we get a little more rain than we do snow. But I don't think we're going to get out of this one. I think we're.
Craig, I always feel like I need to make a special thank you, because if all of you know where I live, of course, and you know how many trees we have, when they come to our house, they have to come with dump trucks.
We do.
They fill up multiple times. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Well, the leaves all came down at one time this year. I mean, it rained and got windy and everything dumped at one time. So we were fortunate enough to be able to get 2 teams out there. And, we were out there with the loader and whatnot. And we helped each other out. And like I said, everybody, this team, this Public Works team we're not perfect, but we do our best, and we're there every day, and the guys work hard. And when something needs to get done, I'm always super impressed how everybody just pulls it together, and we just get it done. It just happens every time, and I'm very proud of the guys for doing that, and I think we're very fortunate to have them.
Craig, I'm going to call that good leadership. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, Chris.
Yep.
We're going to do a SWIFT reach for the emergency.
Correct.
Can we add the leaf collection as part of that and just say, that if you need to get it out, do it at the same time?
Unfortunately, it's just been recorded as we were going here. I've been texting with the office, and she just recorded it without that. So, I mean, we could, but then you tell her. It's
okay. We're going to take the box off tomorrow morning anyway. I mean, if after the storm's over and we clean up, and if it warms up again and melts and there's a pile here or there, we'll go after and clean them up by hand. It's just that we got to get that truck switched over for the storm.
Okay, what about the creek dredging, Craig?
That requires a special permit, and talking with BIA on the stream bank restoration team at the park, we had decided it would be much better fiscally, financially for us to apply with all those permits all at the same time. Because I believe just to get an emergency type dredging permit, I don't think we would have qualified according to Alex Ulmer from BIA, and it would have cost us probably the better part of $20,000 just for that single permit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, where if we group it together with the permits that we need for the creek bank restoration project, it would be much, much more beneficial for us fiscally. So I think that's where we're at. We're waiting for that team to meet, which sounds like it should be within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, but and for what Craig said is true. We inquired about the emergency permit, and emergency permit is truly emergency. Like, hey, the stream's backing up and it's flooding people's houses. That's an emergency. Just because the creek is 5 foot deep in one area, DEP doesn't consider that emergency. So it just fell down to the normal routines. And if we do apply, it'd be double. We'd have to do it for this, and then when we actually do more work on the stream, we apply again. So it would be quite expensive to try to do it 2 times.
All right.
Vine Street, one more thing, the Vine Street lift station, we had problems with that in the past, and we've had some sewer backups in the Arch Street area. That project is coming to completion. The generator has been installed. It's getting wired in tomorrow, and training is scheduled for Thursday morning, 9 a.m. We'll see if that happens with the snowstorm, but the pumps are in and are working. We have seen a significant increase in pump start-stop times. They've actually cut in half with the larger pumps now than what they used to be. We're going to run a drawdown test on those pumps shortly, but everything seems to be working well there, and that project should wrap up within the next week and a half, 2 weeks as well.
Okay, thanks, Craig.
Yep, thank you, guys.
Next is approving our bills.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills later this week for the invoices that were submitted. We had a little delay in getting everything together. Tied to that will be council's approval to allow Cap and Chris to sign off on this round of checks.
So John made the motion. Is there a second?
It's Ralph, I'll second it.
Ralph seconded it. Okay, Doreen,
Okay.
you're up.
Pete Merkel,
Yes.
Jim Meals,
Yes.
Mark Watkins,
Yes.
Ralph Touch,
Yeah.
Colin Boyer, and John Rothenberger.
Yes?
And that will be everyone.
Okay, motion passed.
All right, I'd like to make another motion to ratify the bills paid on November 23rd.
It's Pete, I'll second it. Any discussion? Okay, Doreen.
Okay, Pete Merkel,
Yes.
Jim Meals,
Yes.
Mark Watkins,
Yes.
Ralph Touch,
Yes.
Colin Boyer, John Rothenberger.
Yes.
And that's everyone.
All right, anything else, John?
No, thank you.
Okay, now we have to approve the minutes of November 2020. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
A second?
I'll second it. There was Doreen, just as a note on this, there was a typo with the Kleckner and Laux, their title in the section that described them. If you could just take a quick look at that and correct that. That's the only thing I saw in there.
Yes, I had corrected that from your email.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay, Doreen.
Okay, Pete Merkel,
Yes.
Jim Meals,
Yes.
Mark Watkins,
Yes.
Ralph Touch,
Yes.
Colin Boyer, and John Rothenberger.
Yes.
And that's everyone.
Okay, the ayes have it. That looks about like we're at the end here. Anything else from anyone?
Is the office now open? Chris, have you gotten any word on results or?
So the office is still closed, and I actually foresee it because of the COVID in the Berks County. It most likely behooves us to keep it closed until Christmas Eve, and actually through the year. So office is typically closed Christmas through New Year. Next week is, believe it or not, Christmas Eve. So that's what we're anticipating doing. We're just going to keep it closed.
Okay. How are you feeling, and how's Linda and everybody?
As far as I know, everyone's good.
Good. The Borough party this year, is that not going to happen?
We're looking correct. It's not going to happen as we typically have it. Craig and I have been talking about an alternate thing.
Okay. Strange year.
East. Does anybody know where where this is?
Where the houses burned, Pete. No, the church is right next to the houses that burned. Nope. No, it's literally next to the house. The church actually got singed, and that's the church that is sold to Mr. Fitzgerald.
No, but Colin's talking about a 2-unit.
I know. But
yeah, that's my neighbor. That's my neighbor. That's the person right aside of me.
Yeah,
This is
that's
Jim.
in Jimmy. That's in Jimmy's block.
Correct.
So Colin, you were asking about basically both the blocks, right?
The church is does have enough parking for its 3 units. The other apartments that are there, the one that I think you're referring to, Colin, is an existing unit, so therefore it would be grandfathered as long as they sell it 2-unit and it continues 2-unit. It's no change of use.
Has that been a 2-unit, Jimmy, for a long
It's been
time?
that way for a while. Yeah.
And that's right next to you.
Yep.
There you go, Jimmy, investment opportunity.
I think not.
Oh, it's fun. Okay. Is that it? Okay. Anything else from anyone? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
It's Ralph. I'll make the motion.
Mark will second it.
Okay. Doreen?
Okay. Pete Merkel,
Yes.
Jim Meals,
Yes.
Mark Watkins,
Yes.
Ralph Touch,
Yes.
Helen Boyer, and John Rothenberger.
Well, I'm not sure because we haven't hit our requisite time. You know, it's not even 8 o'clock yet. So I'm thinking maybe we could drag this down. Just
Well,
kidding.
Feel free to continue without us.
Yeah.
Why don't you sing the 2 choruses of Jingle Bells in, John?
You guys all have a great
All right.
great Christmas.
See you next year.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Bye.